The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. And of course, this is the big story. From the dusty corridors of power to the crowded streets where survival is a daily struggle, the Nigerian story in 2025 is one of tension, resilience, and rising demands for accountability. Today on the big story, we ask the hard questions. Who is truly leading? How are the people living? And is real change still possible, or just another slogan? This is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Samson Balogun is my name. And of course, welcome to the conversation. Nigeria stands at a critical crossroad. In a season marked by inflation, insecurity, policy somersaults, and political fatigue, the people are not just tired, they are restless. Leadership has become more transactional than transformational. And the average Nigerian is caught in a cycle of promises and poverty. Beyond the headlines, beyond the blames and excuses lies a deeper truth. Nigerians are in a search, not just of hope, but of real, honest-to-be-goodness change. On today's edition of The Big Story, we unpack the complexity, we speak to political analysts and everyday citizens and thought leaders who still believe in the potential of this great country. Join us as we dig deep into Nigeria on the brink, leadership, livelihood, and the search for real change. Good morning once again. Of course, I won't be doing this alone today. I have with me a renowned public affairs analyst. Of course, he's a security expert. And with him, we'll be doing justice to what really matters to the people of Nigeria. Good morning to you, Dr. Kunle Okunla.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here too.
The Nigerian people are asking a lot of questions, but too many people are afraid to answer them. What is the problem? Why have we gotten to this point where there's a distinct distance between the questions and the answers?
The real situation on ground is that the people of Nigeria are overwhelmed. They are overstretched and at the brink of breaking if care is not taken, because Nigeria's problem is multifaceted. You know, our challenges are like Hydra head, and there are many, and they require the holistic approach, you know, encompass economic, social, and political reforms, you know, and until our leaders are ready to provide answers to the many questions that sincere answers to the many questions that people are asking, then, you know, we're going nowhere as a nation, you know. So that's the situation on ground now.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is Nigeria's leadership problem about who leads or how the system allows them to rule?
Both of them, you know. Whosoever is at the leader, whoever is the leader determines the system, you know. It's the leader that determines what system of government, you know, that he wants for its regime. And over the years, we've not actually had a leader in this nation that is absolutely ready, you know, to provide answers to so many questions that we are asking. So it's both the problem of leadership and that of the system, but it's the leader that determines the system that he wants to practice, you know. And the present system of government that we're practicing, you know, is failing, you know, because if, as a government, the fundamental responsibility of the government, one of them is to provide safety for lives and the properties of the people, and, you know, we are not getting that. There is insecurity in almost every region of this nation on a daily basis. Just yesterday, about 17 gallant soldiers, you know, were ambushed and killed at their base. That is that's alarming, and it's not something that a government should joke about. If the terrorists are bold enough to attack the military at their base, then what is the hope of a common man in his own house, you know? And so it creates fear in the heart of the people, because we are just there. It's like Nigeria is sitting on a time bomb, ready to explode at any time. Look at our roads. Nowhere is safe. No road is safe. And the air is not safe. Rail, I don't think anybody will want to put his life on the rail these days. All right, the same thing with waterways. So what are we talking about? Communication is nothing to write home about, you know, and road networks, nothing to write home about. Infrastructures, education, health services, everywhere is collapsing. So what are we talking about? And what we hear, you know, on a daily basis, it's on the news, is the seat from the government. Nigeria is the largest economy that is not transferred into the, you know, that is not showing in the life of the people. A lot of people are living according to the United Nations submission recently. Most Nigerians are living
below poverty level.
Below poverty level, the second poorest nation in the whole world. And we are talking of largest economy in Africa. You know, so it's all deceit. We are falling. We're drawing back, and something has to be done of a necessity before we break as a nation, because we are moving towards that direction now.
Nigeria practices democracy, and there are too many things that should be happening in a democracy. Freedom of speech,
yeah.
Of course, that is part of it, and of course, the dividends of democracy must go across,
yeah.
you know, every Nigerian citizen. But that is not the current situation. But then, someone spoke to me yesterday and said Nigeria is not even within touching distance of practicing democracy. Is that true?
We are not really practicing democracy.
So, what would you call what we currently practice in Nigeria?
I think this is the government of the politicians, by the politicians,
and for the politicians
to oppress the people. Because one of the beauty of democracy is opposition. You have the ruling party on one part, and you have the opposition on one part, and it's opposition that, you know,
checkmates the ruling party.
The ruling party. We don't have that in Nigeria. All right, the executive, the same party. The president, the same party. The Senate president, the same party. House of Reps Speaker, the same party. What are we talking about? You know, and what we are seeing recently, so many, even the few opposition that we think we have, they are migrating to the ruling party.
Yesterday on the floor of the House,
yes.
the Senate, there was a ceremony from the Labour Party to the APC.
Yes.
And everybody was laughing.
Yes.
They were laughing.
That
is that the order of the day?
That is where they're pushing us. You know, if care is not taken, even the fundamental human right, freedom of speech that you talk about, will be taken away from us. You know, we are moving towards anarchy. We are moving towards dictatorship, because when there is a government and there is no opposition, all you have is dictatorship.
So whose fault is it that the oppositions in Nigeria are in disarray?
Well, it's the system, you know, and the greed of the politicians. You know, what happens, like for the House now, you know, the Senate, the House of Assembly, we have few oppositions, okay? And so what the system does to them is that it makes life a bit difficult for the opposition. If the president does not give you room to talk, you are not going to talk.
So George is there for 4 years.
You just be there for 4 years. And they too have ambition. And they know that, you know, for the ambition to be fulfilled, they have to
align.
Align.
Party.
If you can't win them, you join them. That is what is happening in Nigeria. But it's not favoring the people of Nigeria. We are impoverished. People are suffering. I don't think there has been, you know, the height of hunger that we're experiencing presently in Nigeria before. All right, since I've been living in this nation, all right, and I'm passionate about Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I've been to so many places in the world, but I always tell people that Nigeria is the best place to live on earth. All right, and it's the truth. The only problem we have in this nation is that of leadership.
All right, some people, there's an insinuation in town. I've spoken to so many people, and they have corroborated the fact. They say Nigeria is the only country in the world that you sleep with nothing and wake up with a lot of things. And then Nigeria is still the only country where you sleep with a lot, but wake up with nothing. Is that true?
It is a place where I was reading an article yesterday, you know, the few that are rich, they are stupendously rich, and they are getting richer every day.
So there's a gap between the rich and the poor.
There is a wide gap, and the politicians are not ready to bridge the gap. Okay, they just want us to know that they are the rich and there are the poor. The poor are getting poorer. Remember the other time that one of the senators moved a motion, you know, talking to the president of the Senate that let the poor breathe. And it was a joke in the Senate. Who are the poor? Why should the poor breathe? You know, what do we need?
If you have not stifled them in the first place,
you know,
why make such statements?
They did not even remember that it's a live program. You know, they were just making jokes of the poor. That means that they don't really have the love of the poor at heart. These are not rulers. These are not leaders. These are people that want to get whatever is meant for everybody for themselves alone. You know, but they've forgotten one thing that, you know, a little thing called karma, you know. And if they are wise, they should have seen what happens to the leaders in the past. Some of them are dead, some of them are still alive. They should visit them and see the way they are living, the way the people, you know, that's supposed to treat well are treating them now. Whatever you do today is a story tomorrow. You know, what legacy are you leaving behind? Because people are going to read your story. And your story is going to become a story tomorrow, you know. And you can only have your way, you know, for as long as you live. Every one of us, we hope that we're going to die, you know. And the politicians should think about that.
Dr. Kunle Okunlola, yes. Are Nigerians being held by the scruff of the neck?
We are being strangulated. We are managing to breathe.
Is there a chance that an average Nigerian will eventually survive this battle?
It depends on our youth. Our hope, all right, lies in the youth. They should organize themselves and resist this.
The Not Too Young to Rule bill has failed to see the light of the day. How do you feel the youth will eventually get a say in what is happening in Nigeria as we speak?
If they
don't forget, politicians, after they are done, they actually bring on board their children. I will mention about 3 or 4 of them who now have their sons. Malam Nasir Rufai's his son in the Kaduna State House of Assembly is there. Of course, these are things that are going on.
If you go to the
former governor of Ogun State, his son is there.
Almost all of them. They are replicating themselves.
Even the late governor, Isiaq Abiola Ajimobi, at the point, you know, his son tried to be in the House of Reps. So these are people who, after they are done, Olameju is there. So after they are done, they are trying to bring on board, you know, a replica of themselves into power.
And that is what I said. It lies in the, you know, on our youths. If they don't give you, you have to take it. Since 1960, there was time I sat down and I was looking at the people that have been ruling us. Almost the same set of people. The father left, the wife is there, the wife left, the children
same
are there.
Same gene in different bottles.
The same gene, they are just coming, you know. Our president was once a senator, was once a governor
of Lagos State.
The wife was a senator for about 8 years or so.
More than that.
More than that. The daughter I had is the Yaloja of Lagos
State.
You know, and on and on. That's the way they do. They replicate themselves. They don't want to give chance, you know, to a son of nobody. And I said we are no nation until a son of nobody rises up to become somebody without the influence of somebody, influence of anybody. So if they don't give you, you are going to take it. We can't just be pushed to the back and let these few people, they are very few, having the field of the day, you know, and you know, taking the wealth of this nation. This nation is supposed to be a wealthy nation. We are endowed, you know, human resources, natural resources. We are endowed. You need to move to another nation and look around. That's when you appreciate what God has given us in this nation. But it lies in the hands of a few people. And we have to do something about it.
All right, a huge chunk of the countries on this planet
Yeah.
do not have as much as Nigeria currently has. But of course, some of them are doing way better
Yes.
than Nigeria is doing economically,
Yeah.
in all ramifications. Now, are Nigerian elite too disconnected with the realities on ground that they got carried away by the fact that Nigerians are suffering?
Most of them are not, that do not care. They don't, it's what you care about that you worry about. You understand? You can't prevent what you permit. It's not possible, you know.
You cannot prevent what you permit.
It's not possible. You can't prevent what you permit. You know, you have to be determined to hold it before you can prevent it. You know, so the airlines that you're talking about, they are having their own shares, you know, of the larger share. What happens is that when they know that, you know, you're having a voice, they bring you on board. And most of the time, because of the greed in the hearts of many of us, when you get there, you keep short. How many of the so-called Nigerians that really have the interest of this nation at heart have been silenced by the politicians? Look at what Babangida did to Tai Sholari at that time. Look at Oshiomhole. Look at what he has become, you know, and on like that. So they don't really have the interest of the people of Nigeria at heart. Once they get there, they just want to get, you know, whatever they can get for them and their families alone.
Okay, now let's talk about the renewed hope agenda. Has it brought about measurable improvement to the lives of the Nigerian people?
I haven't seen that. The renewed hope agenda, I haven't seen the effect of it, you know.
But on paper, they are saying Nigeria is improving. In terms of internally generated revenue, fuel subsidy has been removed, and of course, state governors now have more money in the kitty. They are doing more projects according to them. Are you saying that as an individual, as an observer?
What you have said now, does it reflect in the way of living of the people?
Inflation is still over 30%.
When
they say it's coming down.
When they say a nation is wealthy, it reflects in the life of the people, the cost of living, the way of living. You understand? When you step on the high streets in London, you can't tell a rich from the poor because there's nothing you can see. We enter the same bus, the same taxi, the same, you know, underground, the same train. You know, you say Prime Minister. I've been in a train, you know, underground train, you know, going to work, and the former Prime Minister of England, Tony Blair, you know, was there. There wasn't a seat for him. He was standing.
And nobody stood up for him.
Nobody will stand up for him because he came and met people sitting down. In fact, if he had come earlier sitting down and a pregnant woman or a woman comes in, he has to stand up. You understand? That is the beauty of democracy. He was the Prime Minister for 8 years. All right, I'm very close to where I live in the UK. He bought, you know, a semi-detached flat, I think a 3-bedroom, all right, and it was taken to court. That's after 8 years of ruling. Where did you get the money to buy? His wife, you know, Blair, was the top lawyer. He was the top lawyer. He had to go and explain how he got the money
to buy a flat.
A semi-detached flat, not a bungalow, semi-detached flat. That's the beauty, you know, of democracy. When you can hold your leader accountable for whatever he has done. All right, and that's why I say we are not practicing democracy as it should be practiced in Nigeria.
Now, when we talk about politicians in Nigeria, some people they make a case for politicians needing watchdogs, people to watch out for them. When they hear, they can always be held accountable for things they do. So, during the regime of President Olusegun Obasanjo back then, he brought about the EFCC. At the point there was ICPC. We have had the NSCDC. Of course, the Nigerian Army is there. The police, they are there. Of course, a lot of parastatals, of course, ministries and MDAs, they are there. But the point is, Nigerians still find it difficult to find justice anywhere. most people, let's talk about the justice system in the country.
Yeah.
There are so many people who are still there. Just yesterday, the Oyo State government pardoned a few people from the Abonogo prison in Oyo just to decongest the prison to make sure that the facilities are not overstretched. But the point is, some people are still there whose cases have been hanging in the air for 3, 4, 5 years and nobody has done anything about that. That is injustice on their part, and they're being held in prisons. But that is still the case in every prison in Nigeria. What's the way to go? What do we need exactly to get across this line?
All these agencies that you have mentioned, ICPC, the EFCC, and the like, they are tools in the hand of whosoever.
So when will we get
the
accurate agencies to tackle the current situation of the country, especially in the area of corruption?
Or until we have a president or a leader that is not corrupt and that is not dining with the corrupt politicians and leaders. That's why you can have these, agencies, being effective as they're supposed to be. They're good agencies with good intention, But what we see now is that they are tools in the hands of the government. And what they do with them is to witch hunt whosoever is an opposition, all right? You will never see EFCC or ICPC going after somebody that is in the ruling party and it's in agreement, with the party or with the president. You will never see that,
Adams Oshiomhole mentioned something, comrade. He said, if you join the APC, your sins are forgiven. How do we move forward from there?
Those are erroneous statements that people should, hold them for. There are so many of such erroneous statements that we have in this country, and you wonder why nothing is being done. Gumi has been, Sheikh Gumi has been
fraternizing with the bandits.
A go between the government and the terrorists. Sometimes he negotiates, the whatever amount they want to pay.
He mentioned that he knows where they are.
He knows where they are. He has meeting
but
with
the Nigerian military does not know where they are.
He went to Mecca to perform Hajj. All right. They didn't allow him. They threw him back. That we see all the atrocities that you are performing in Nigeria. All right. In a normal country, as he step into the airport,
he should be arrested.
He should be arrested. Just a few days ago, when the president was talking about, our forest guards, he came out and he said, President should make the terrorists the forest guards because they're already there and nobody is saying anything. These are erroneous statements, that in some other nations, whosoever said that will have been picked. That's what I said. Sometimes I wonder what is happening in this nation. Are we really a nation? And when somebody said it is a zoo, some people are mad. Does not really look like a zoo. All right,
Doctor, is it safe to say?
It matters only if you are rich, if you are, important in quote, because everybody is important. But if you are not rich and your parents are not rich, anything can happen to you in this nation. There are people that stole billions, trillions, and you see them in court, and we feel that, for the first time, justice is going to be handed over. And what do you see? Plea bargain. I stole 100 million. I want to give back 10 million. And the court say, go, you are free. And you walk out of the court enjoying, the billions remain that they are stolen. And somebody stole maybe a cup of gari to feed and said, sentence him. They put him in Abolongo and he's there. Some of them have not been tried and they've been there for years. They are just reminded there. What justice is that?
Is it safe to say some people are free under the law to trivialize or make a joke out of the political structure and, of course, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
It depends on who you are. What is good for the good is good for the Ganders, not in Nigeria. There are some statements you make as an ordinary person, you are taking up for it. But for a so-called important personalities in Nigeria, you are free. Almost every aspect of this nation, is breaking down. We are that break. For whosoever is seeing it to see, we are that break. And when it breaks, we are all, even they that thinks that they are secured, you know, they are going to be affected. They're going to be affected. The poor cannot sleep because they are hungry. The rich keep building, fences. You see perimeter fences that are far, far taller than the houses inside. In those days, you know, you put a small fence so that you can see the beauty of the house. But these days, because the rich are afraid that the poor are not sleeping, they too cannot sleep.
There was a statement I heard a few years ago, some years ago, that the better children you have failed to train today
definitely
will not allow the Bodija children to sleep at night. Is that true?
It's true. Chief Abafimalo said it. You know, he said it. That those are visionary leaders. You know, when he brought free education, and he said, I wish my counterpart in the north would do the same thing, because these people that are left on the street for almongery, all right, they will not allow those that were training here to sleep in the future. And that is it.
And that was a prophecy.
That is what we are having today. That is what we have. You need to go to the north, you know, you will weep for this nation. 4 years, 3 years, you know, 15, 16, you see them on the street, almongery, begging for food, begging for leftovers.
They're on the street of Ibadan.
Yes.
You go to Sabo, you'll find them.
And that's
go to Gate, you'll find them.
That's what I believe the Oyo State government should do more. All right. There was a time he built a place for them, and they're picking them. And I realized that they left the place and they went back.
Go to Samonda, they are there.
They are everywhere. They are everywhere. And it should not be encouraged, because these are people that do not have value for their own lives. And the most difficult person to deal with in life is a person who does not value his own life. Because he does not value his own life, he doesn't value your own life. He doesn't, you know. And so that's why I said it's like we are sitting on a time bomb, and nothing seems to be done. The government is not doing enough. As security operatives, they are not doing enough. You know, something is brooding in the northwest now about the banditry. All right, that if care is not taken, it's going to be worse than the Boko Haram, the Lakurawa terrorists. They are penetrating the Sokoto and all the northwest. How are they recruiting youths? Okay, they call the youth, especially those that have gone to school, they don't have a work once you are 18. All right, your signing in money is 1 million. You sign 1 million to join, and they give you, and I think they pay them 150,000 naira, you know, on monthly basis. It will take the grace of God and discipline for a youth who does not have anything to reject such offer. And our government is not doing anything. Look at our borders. Look at the proliferation of arms and ammunition. You know, our borders are not secured. You know, and on a daily basis, illegal weapons and ammunition are coming to this nation.
Even through the proven borders.
Yes, just 2 weeks ago, Katsina government had a meeting, a peaceful meeting with the bandits.
Peaceful meeting with the bandits.
That's laughable anyway. That's quite laughable.
A peaceful meeting with
the bandits. And they came in their numbers. How did they announce their presence? They started shooting sporadically. All of them armed with AK-47. They must have wasted about 30,000 to 50,000 bullets. You know, weapons are not cheap. The cheapest AK-47, there are so many brands, all right, is about $250. All right, that's about 300,000 or thereabout. All right, a bullet, one bullet for AK-47 rifle is $15. That's about 30,000 naira, and they wasted about 30,000 of it. Multiply 30,000 with 30,000. That's a lot of money. Where is that money coming from? Where are they getting the weapons from? Weapons are not bought in open market. You know, there are paperwork that you do before you can get. Who is perfecting the paperwork for them? All right, the food they eat, where is it coming from? The water they drink inside that bush, where is it coming from? Who supplies? Who is the supplier?
Is it safe to say there are foreign influences?
Yes, you know, I think it was Abacha, late General Abacha, that said that if insurgency persists in a nation for more than 3 days, it must have a hand of the present government in it. Insurgency must not last more than 3 days in any nation. For more than 15 years now, we're battling with Boko Haram. Some of the Chibok gets taken were still held hostage. And we feel all is well. All is not well with this nation. All is not well with this nation.
Okay, now we are with the minimum wage talks stalling and inflation spiraling. Is government empathy towards the common man merely performative?
I think they are just trying to save face. Saving face is an oriented term. When you know you have done something wrong, just want to do something to cover up. You know, inflation is rising. You are increasing the wage
to 70,000.
That's not the way to do it. That's not how to go about it. You understand? When I was doing my NYSC, all right, 89 or thereabout, all right, our Alawi, it was during that time that they increased it, you know, to 70 naira. And 70 naira then, I came back to buy about 12 plots of land when I came. They've increased there, I think 30,000 or thereabout now. You know, what 70,000 can buy at that
77,000 naira.
Yes, what 70 naira can buy, there are 77,000 cannot buy it. Now, a wise government will deal with inflation. A wise government, you know, will do a central price control for essential goods, especially foods. Bring down all the taxes.
The basic commodities.
On basic commodities. Let there be abundance of food. All right? Let there be amenities. Our dependence on petroleum alone, you know, is not leading us anywhere. God forbid, with the present Iran, Israeli, whatever, you know, petrol will break.
We are already seeing the effects.
And so what do we do as a nation? Our budget is planned based on the price of petrol. All right, we have great harrible lands. You know, our forefathers in the north, in the west, north, east, north, south, we have always been good farmers. You know, there's gold in Taraba being mined on a daily basis illegally, and the government is looking the other side. On a daily basis, how many, you know, trillions, volumes of our crude oils are being taken away illegally, and the government is looking at the other side because they are accomplices. Yes, they are accomplices. You know, so what is the hope of a common man? Where are we going? You know, the only thing that is left for a common man is education. All right, but look at what is happening in education. Look at the last JAM. Look at what happened. Many of them could not write the exam because the facilities given them were not working. Look at the last WAEC. You know,
because of systemic failure.
Some people wrote WAEC 10 p.m. with candles in some places, in some centers. Most centers 9 p.m.
Torchlights. Because
of failures of the system. Why can't we get anything right in this nation?
Okay, very quickly before we go, would you say the current administration understands the urgency of hunger, joblessness, and youth despair, or is it more concerned with optics and blame games?
When you listen to the president talk, you know, initially we felt that this man probably, you know, empathizes with us, you know, with the people you understand, you know, by hello for Kombale, things will get better. But on a daily basis, people are dying, and what we stay here again is the normal slogan, hello for Kombale. Is it until everybody dies before things improve? 2 years is good enough if there is a good policy for us to begin to see signs. We are not seeing any sign. Which of our refineries is working? Which of them? None is working. And they promised us that when they remove the subsidy, that in the first year, 2 of the refineries will be working. This is the second year. Nothing is being done. Hello for Kombale Langbo every time. You know. So I don't believe that the present government, you know, is empathizing with the people. The people are hungry. And a hungry man is an angry man. An hungry man is defiant. You know. If care is not taken, it's going to come to a point that people will not mind their lives again. Look at what happened in Benue recently. Is it a crime to sleep in your own house? And people were burned to ashes. More than 200 people. In a normal nation, everything will come to a standstill. There is still celebration in Abuja. The following, the next day, you know, there are still commissioning of roads in Abuja. You know, the third day, the president visited the place to commiserate with people. The naive governor was saying that, telling his subjects to come out in their native colorful attires to welcome the president. That is insane.
Insensitivity.
Gross insensitivity. If one of your own daughters was among the victims, would you have said that? And they know how to protect, you know, themselves. There was a time that when the self-bombing things was rampant in Nigeria, you know, the government of Nigeria, I think it was a Goodluck Jonathan, then sent some of our, you know, officers in the police, you know, I think to Israel or for anti-bomb, whatever, and they came in their hundreds. You know, I know somebody was even a member of a church, and I said, oh, now that you are back, you know, what are you going to do? He said the intention was that the few that went out to be trained should train others. So a few months after asking, officer, what is happening? He said, this country is finished. You know, so what happened was that they gave every state around 10 of those officers that came. It was one of the people that went to a particular state. Do you know what happened? The governor took 3. The deputy governor took 2. The House of Assembly took 2. That's how they told themselves. You need to attend a high-profile wedding or burial service and see the number of security officers that were accompanying a single...
Doctor, we have to go.
A single politician.
We have to go.
That's how we are in this nation.
We say a very big thank you for joining us
thank you
in
very
the studio
much.
this morning. It has been an insightful conversation with you. And of course, we would love to have you one more time to discuss something pressing. And of course, that is of concern to the Nigerian populace. All right, the show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. And this has been, of course, an insightful conversation with Dr. Kunle Okonla. This is the big story. As the curtain falls on today's discussion, one thing is clear. Nigeria is not just a country in crisis. It is a nation in waiting. Waiting for leadership that listens. Waiting for policies that work. Waiting for change that doesn't just campaign, but delivers. The journey ahead is uncertain, but the voices we heard today reminds us the people are awake and they are watching. Thank you for joining us on The Big Story on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television Ibadan. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and above all, stay hopeful. Samson Balogun is my name. The show continues after this time out.